Hello and welcome back to Georgia Studies. Today we will be discussing the causes of the American Revolution. Y'all ready for this? Here we go. The American Revolution was one of the most important events in our history as Americans. However, the colony of Georgia was the youngest, smallest, and poorest colony at the time. Ultimately, Georgia played a minor role in the American Revolution. However, Georgia had American revolutionary heroes such as Elijah Clark, Austin Dabney, and Nancy Hart. There were several main causes of the American Revolution. We will start by discussing the French and Indian War. The French and Indian War was a war between the British and the French, with American Indian tribes fighting on both sides. This war had little direct impact on Georgia since most of the fighting took place in the Ohio River Valley, New York, Pennsylvania, and Canada. After the British won the war, Georgia's borders expanded to the St. Mary's River to the south and the Mississippi River to the west. After the war, King George III decided that he was going to try to stabilize the colonies. He wanted to try to restore relationships with the American Indians. He knew that the British could not afford another war with the American Indians. One way he tried to stabilize the colonies was by issuing the Proclamation of 1763. This document forbade the colonists from settling lands west of the Appalachian Mountains. This document infuriated the colonists. A lot of the colonists fought in the war in hopes of having the opportunity to gain new lands in the west. Many of the colonists ignored the proclamation and settled in the Ohio River Valley anyway. Even though most colonists were upset by the proclamation, the people of Georgia did not share the same sentiment. Georgia was a small colony and was mainly on the Georgia coastline. They did not want to move out west. Also, Georgia actually gained land as a result of the French and Indian War. This new land was south of the Proclamation line and not west. Therefore, Georgians could settle the land they gained. The last, and possibly the most important cause of the American Revolution was the taxes placed on the colonists by the king. Britain was left with a lot of debt after the war and they wanted to try to recoup that money fast. The king decided that one of the best ways to do this was to tax the colonists. This was easy for him since the colonists were a whole ocean away. There was no threat of them attacking or revolting in Britain. The main issue with this is that the colonists did not have any representation in the British government, which is called the British Parliament. The colonists said, "No taxation without representation." One of the earliest and most controversial taxes was the Stamp Act of 1765. This tax put a direct tax on many daily items of the colonists such as newspapers, licenses, and legal documents. In the colonies, there were British tax collectors who would collect taxes on these items. They were hated and often they had violent acts against them. One of the most common way to protest was to tar and feather the tax collector. The colonists would also attack the homes of British officials and hang effigies of the governors. A few groups were formed during this time to help organize and protest these leaders. The Sons of Liberty was one such group. These were gentlemen from the middle and upper classes who were tired of being taxed. Eventually, the British Parliament repealed the Stamp Act but passed other acts to try to take its place. This created even more discontent and set the stage for the American Revolution. Since Georgia was such a small colony, it was not as impacted or against the Stamp Act. In fact, Georgia actually sold some stamps. Even though the population was small, there were still some colonists who were unhappy. These colonists formed a group called the Liberty Boys. This group was affiliated with the larger group Sons of Liberty. With Georgia being such a small colony, they were in a unique position. They were afraid to revolt completely from Britain, but were close to the other colonies and were experiencing what they were experiencing. Therefore, when the American Revolution came, Georgia was ready to fight. Teachers and students, don't forget to like the video and comment on what you want to learn next. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel to see our latest videos. See you next time.